Shalom, beloved family. It's your girl Sophia Spiritual Light, and this is a continuation of the live stream that I did yesterday. And to sum up the discussion we were having, um, the question on the table is, or yeah, the question on the table is compassion necessary dealing with the Gentiles and the heathens? And this seems to be a culmination of a topic we've been tiptoeing around. Oh, I mean, a bunch of topics I've been tiptoeing around, but in particular, I've been tiptoeing around this subject because it is our people have PTSD, right? And so when you tell somebody with PTSD that they're overreacting, they tend to lash out. And so I've been really, really tiptoeing around this subject, but due to the nature of what's going on and the energy that's coming in, it's time for a full-fledged discussion about this. Because here's the thing. As the creators of this realm, as the queens and the kings, as the inheritors and the beneficiaries, you know, we created this realm the way it is now. It was our own doing. We must take responsibility for what is going on now. If these Gentiles, these heathens, these other people, whoever they are, if they were not the creators of this realm, right, and they just came here, however they came here, then the things that they would have done when they got here were an imitation of what our people were doing. And we have documented proof in the Bible that this is true. Yesterday I referred to the situation where Moshe, went on to the mountain to receive the 10 Commandments. And he was a day late. And the people on the bottom, they started complaining. The people at the bottom of the mountain started complaining. Hey, this man is late. We need a God. Build us a God, right? And, as I discussed this previously, Aaron built him a God. Lo and behold, a calf walked out, which probably was unusual. And then they started to have this big, crazy, wild party. But remember, yes, it may have been a mixed multitude, right? But the mixed multitude still included our people. Number one. Number two, the Lord, which in my opinion was the feminine aspect, saw this and became enraged. And what did Moses say? Lord, have mercy. Forgive them. You know these people. These are your people. You know them. Please forgive them. And we see over and over and over and over again the prophets begging the Lord to forgive our people and give our people another chance. Over and the whole of this story that's in the Bible is a story of forgiveness. And not forgiveness as in, I'm going to forgive you and I'm just going to pretend like you didn't do that the last time. No. Forgiveness and then the punishment for the punishment in spite of the forgiveness. So even though the Lord, the Most High, the Mother, they forgave us over and over again, that did not stop the punishment that came after the forgiveness. And so when these other people got here, this is what they would have seen. Yes, our people were always doing mess up stuff. Yes, we were always being forgiven. And then, yes, we kept going back and doing the same thing over and over. What do we see from the Gentiles and the heathens? Did they come up with that on their own? I mean, we know these people don't create anything. They don't invent anything. They don't do anything without somebody telling them what to do. So explain to me how these Gentiles and these heathens learned on their own to treat our people like this? Or is this what they were treated? Is this how they were treated? Is this what they were exposed to? And then when they got the opportunity to be in charge, they just returned the favor. Because they don't know what they're doing. But we do. We do. We can't use the excuse that we don't know, because we do know. We know what is right from what is wrong. We know for a fact that we're supposed to, forgive people and maybe not let them run all over you, but you still forgive them. And it doesn't mean, that they're not going to have to be punished. They will. But we still forgive them anyway. And if we don't know, we look to our big brother as the greatest example of how we're supposed to do this. As I have said many times, Yeshua had the worst disciples ever. This is no joke. These men, they couldn't understand nothing. I never seen such a ridiculous, ragtag bunch of people, so selfish. What did they do with the 5,000? 5,000 men had come to see Yeshua preach. And what did they say? Well, we're going to send everybody home. And Yeshua said, what? Y'all going to just send everybody home? I mean, we got to feed these people. And what I say? Well, we don't have nothing to feed them with. All we got is 5 loaves of bread and 2 fish. That's just enough for us. That's what they were saying. Especially Mark. He was a fat boy. That was just enough for us. We don't have enough to share. Yeshua said, we can't send these people away. It's like a 2-day walk. And it took them 2 days to get here. And I've been preaching for 2 days. You want to just send them away with nothing? How selfish. And so he said, sit them down in groups of 50. Everybody sat down. He gave thanks. He lifted up the bread and the fish. It was enough for everybody to eat, with 12 baskets of pieces left over. That's just one example. Then you have even on the cross, you have this man being accused by our people. Now, our people who look like me and you, knew that he had not committed one sin. Knew it for a fact. Influenced by these whoever's, still got it from us. And said, instead of freeing Yeshua, their actual brother, they said, free Barabbas. Dang. Yeshua could only shake his head. Look at these people. They're not supposed to do this. Even on the cross, Yeshua said, please, Father, forgive them, for they know not what they do. Lord, have mercy. Now, does mercy look like 100% absolving from the consequences? No. We had to suffer for that. We're still suffering for that. 2,000 years later, we're still suffering for this. What happened? What we did to our brother. Us. People who look like us. And here we are given an opportunity to take this 2,000 years and put it into action. And the first thing that we do is when we see our oppressors suffering, we don't say, man, have mercy on them. They don't know what they did. They don't know. Our oppressors don't know. Some of them do. And guess what? They're going to be judged accordingly. But a great deal of them don't know. They don't know. They don't understand. And I know that y'all don't want to hear that. I don't want to hear it either, to be honest. But I know that it's true because if you talk to them, if you had interactions with these people, they legitimately have no idea what's going on. And so, just how when we do our shadow work, we have to go in and give ourselves a happy ending in our stories. We have to give, just how when we do our own personal shadow work, we have to go in and give ourselves a happy ending. We have to give our quote unquote oppressors a happy ending. They're not our oppressors. They're not our oppressors. They're our children. They learn from us. They learn from the greatest oppressors that there are, which would be our people. Evidenced by what we did to our own brother, documented in the Bible. Whether it's also been encoded with a bunch of other information, that could be true. But it doesn't negate the story that was told. It doesn't eliminate the story that was told. It just provides some further context and, maybe a little bit more information. So we have to be able to look at ourselves and say, what are they doing that they learned from our people? What did we do to contribute to this behavior? What is in our lineage and in our background that we know our people did? Just like for this is a perfect example. They're talking about a nuclear war, right? Well, what was the first nuclear war? Was that not the Lemurians and the Atlanteans dropping plasma bombs on each other? Those was all our people. Those weren't other people. It's well documented all over the place about the plasma bomb and what happened. What happened? What happened? Atlantis sunk because of that. Literally dropped off the planet as a result of us doing something that we weren't supposed to do to other people who look like us. Now these Gentiles are just going to repeat that. For sure. We don't have to worry about them, how they're going to be taken out, because they're going to be taken out the same way we were taken out. It's going to be the same way. We don't have to worry about that. But our response could be, if we can prevent innocent, unknowing people from being harmed in this process. As the holders in due course, as the inheritors of the realm, as the beneficiaries, as the creators, the grantors, the inheritors, and the creators. We're supposed to do that. We're supposed to do that. Because once the ones who are not supposed to be here are gone, we're still going to be left with some of these people. And if we don't establish how we want our realm to be run now, they're going to be able to, no matter how many contracts I cancel, no matter how many rituals we do, no matter how many whatever, they're going to be able to come back to power, because there'll still be a space in our hearts due to our shadow that another 1,000 years of working at, they'll be able to get back in the door. So if we really want this to be finished and complete once and for all, if we don't want our brother's death to have been in vain, then it's our responsibility to make sure that our response to this stuff is not cold. It is not, it's appropriate. It's appropriate. So just like, when the thing in Ohio happened, we had an appropriate response to that because the weather was normal, We had an appropriate response to that. What was the response mostly? Oh my goodness, I'm so worried about the animals. I'm so worried about the fish. I'm so worried about the, the people downstream who have, they didn't, they're not in a sundown town. They didn't abuse X, Y, and Z people. They don't deserve to be, to get that, Have mercy, Lord, on the innocents. And when this thing happened in Turkey, what do? We iced out, man. And we just said, hey, those people are getting what they deserve. Everything that's happening to them, that's the Most High's will, and the Most High's will be done. And those things may be true, but that doesn't negate us asking for mercy on their behalf, because we created them to be monsters. If you think that these people are monsters, they're only monsters because they learned it from us. They didn't learn it from themselves. They didn't come here with that. They learned it from us. We ingrained it into them, and that's exactly what they did. And so I did not hear anybody during this earthquake situation say, oh my gosh, what about the dogs that are stuck in the rubble? What about the house pets? This was a big apartment building. These are big buildings. People in buildings like that have pets. Nobody wants, I never heard nobody say, oh my gosh, what about the animals? At least, if you're not concerned about the people, I can understand that. Nobody is saying that you have to care about the people, but what about the animals? Did the animals deserve it? Did the fish tanks that were crushed in these apartments, those fish deserved it? You know? What about the roaches? What about the crickets? What about the ants? What about the snakes? What about the dogs? I mean, you can imagine how traumatizing it is for a dog when they're around fireworks. Imagine the ground starts shaking and they don't even know why. And then in that process, they're crushed. Their owners are crushed. Their you know, everything in a flash of an eye is taken away from them. And you didn't even think about that. I didn't think about it. I'm not talking about other people. I'm talking about me. I didn't think about that. I didn't consider it. I didn't know it was a thing to worry about. I didn't know it was a thing to worry about until we had this conversation yesterday. So that is to say, we have to consider these things. We have to think about these things. And if we're not sure if our a response is appropriate, look at the weather. If the weather is having an appropriate response, hey, it's cool. But if the weather comes here and it's acting super crazy, hey, we might want to review what we've done, what's going on, and see how we responded to it. You know? And it might not just be that, earthquake. It could be how we responded to the whole thing, the whole Super Bowl thing with Rihanna. It could be a lot of things. It just the earthquake came up because it was the biggest thing that happened. But there's going to be a lot more tragedies and disasters coming. And we have to really check ourselves. This is, this is the fine tuning of the shadow work. This is once you've cleared out all the big stuff, and you have to start looking at the small things, the things that don't seem like they matter, the things that don't seem like they make a difference. You have to start looking at those things and saying, Lord has mercy. Just because if our big brother can do it while he's literally dying on the cross, Father, please forgive them, for they know not what they do. The least we could do as we're being restored to our kingdom and to our queenship and kingships, as we're being restored, is to look down on the people who will have to serve us and say, Lord, have mercy. Because if they have a good life, if they get a happy ending, we're being restored one way or another. It doesn't make us any difference whether they have a good life or a bad life. It has no effect on our restoration. So to just ask for a little bit of mercy for them in the midst of our own restoration is the right thing to do, because when you're a leader, you want win-win situations. It's not a win-win situation for you to be on top and haughty and high on the horse, and for all of your subjects to be suffering. That's what the Gentiles did. And that's what we've done before. And we know it because they got it from us. So if we want to set a new path, it's going to have to be a path that's built on the steps of love and not on the steps of, I'm going to get them for what they did to me. That's going the wrong direction. We want to be better. We don't want to be worse. And so we'll have some more conversation about this, but I wanted to get this into the ley line, let people start to think about this, and we'll talk about this some more. So, to the spirits who are here with us, you're invited to go in peace. To my beloved viewers, you're invited to be at peace, and always remember the Most High is your peace. Shalom.